To record charges, they asked Chris, "Would you like to document charges?" And Chris obviously said no, he didn't. He doesn't need the problem. I reported today that I was suing Will for $200 million. Jim Carrey, like every other person watching the 2022 Oscars, saw Will Smith slap Chris Rock, and he was not excited with what occurred next. He has erupted over all of Hollywood, and a portion of his reactions will shock you. Welcome to Gate Book of Scriptures, folks. We should make a plunge. I was nauseated by the thunderous applause. I felt like Hollywood is only gutless en masse. And it truly felt like goodness. This is a truly obvious sign. Those were the expressions of the 60-year-old entertainer as he communicated his failure following Will Smith's activities at the 2022 Oscars. Even after Will Smith slapped Rock bitterly, he actually proceeded to win the Best Entertainer Oscar for his exhibition in Lord Richard. As a matter of fact, everybody present at the Dolby Theatre on Spring 27 came up to cheer him as he accepted his honor. He got a thunderous applause as he claimed the Best Entertainer reward for his portrayal of Ruler Richard, and afterward began crying. After all, he did evidently every last bit of it. Didn't agree with his partners, particularly Jim Carrey. Mila Kunis, who was available when everything happened, later told C Magazine in October 2022 that she won't stand up during Smith's acknowledgement discourse, yet was stunned by the quantity of individuals that did. At any rate, citing her, she said, "Not facing me was an easy decision, yet the thing was stunning to me was the number of individuals that stood up. I thought, wow, what time we're living in, that as opposed to make the wisest decision, individuals center around doing what looks great. It's crazy to me." Recall Will Smith went after Chris Rock in front of an audience after Rock poked a fun voluntarily Smith's significant other Jada Pinkett Smith. What happened precisely? Chris Rock sent off into a concise discourse while he was presenting the finalists for the Best Narrative component at the Oscars. He knows landed the hardest position this evening. Javier about them and his better half are both designated now. In the event that she loses, he can't win. The comic proceeded to poke a fun at Jada Pinkett Smith's buzz slice, preferring her to Demi Moore in the 1997 film G.I. Jane. "Jada, I love you." G.I. Jane 2 can hardly hold back to see everything right. While many individuals in the crowd got laughed uncontrollably, Jada Pinkett didn't appear to find anything entertaining, and on detecting his better half's uneasiness, Will Smith became rankled, approached Rock and slapped him. "Gracious, wow, Will Smith just smacked the out of me." And since Will has needed to manage a ton of reaction from partners, particularly Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was frustrated with Hollywood not only for permitting Smith to in any case get an honor even after his activities, yet for likewise encouraging him. He said, "I was nauseated on CBS Mornings on Tuesday, Walk 29th. I was nauseated by the thunderous applause. I felt like Hollywood is only yellow in mass. It truly felt like goodness. This is actually a sign that we're not the cool club any longer." Despite the fact that Chris Rock squeezed charges against Smith after the occurrence, Jim Carrey felt like he ought to have sued Smith for the attack. As per Carrey, he would have sued Will Smith for $200 million, assuming that he were Chris. To record charges, they asked Chris, "Would you like to document charges?" And Chris clearly said no, he didn't. He simply need the problem. "I didn't report it today that I was suing Will for $200 million. He then said it was video from the crowd. On the off chance that you don't demonstrate of a joke, yet you don't reserve the privilege to stroll up in front of an audience age and smack someone in the face since they expressed words while Telecaster Payne was of the assessment that the episode had just gone crazy." Carrey had an opposite assessment and guaranteed that the circumstance didn't raise, he said, and I quote, "It appeared unexpectedly on the grounds that Will has something happening inside him that is baffled. I hope everything works out for him. I truly do. I have nothing against Will Smith. He's done extraordinary things, yet that was not a decent second. It cast the pall over everybody." Sparkling second. Different entertainers felt the same way. "Also, I'm certain you saw the second everybody is discussing among Chris and Will your considerations. I don't support viciousness." Will Smith straightforwardly apologized for his wrongdoing at the Oscars daily after the occasion, referencing how it was hard to take Chris Rock's kid about Jada's alopecia. He took to his Instagram on the 28th of Walk 2022, "My conduct finally Knights Foundation grants was unsuitable and unpardonable. Jokes without regard to me are a part of the gig, yet a kid about Jada's ailment was a lot for me to bear, and I responded genuinely. I was off the mark and I was off base. I am humiliated, and my activities were not characteristic of the man I need to be. There is a bad situation for brutality in a universe of affection and consideration." Despite the fact that Will transparently apologized, Carrey didn't express anything about the statements of regret. Rather, he affirmed that it was so challenging to be designated for an Oscar. He likewise guaranteed that Will's eruption had created a shaded area over the whole occasion. As per him, many individuals endeavor to arrive at that spot and to have their second in the sun to get their honor for the truly difficult work they did. It is no mean accomplishment to go through all of the stuff you need to go through when you're selected for an Oscar. It's a glove of commitment that You need to do it was only a narrow-minded second that cast horrify over the entire thing. After the service, the Foundation of Film Expressions and Sciences said they would examine the occurrence, and in a proclamation to assortment the next Monday, the association said the institute denounces the activities of Mr. Smith. Finally, Night's show. The association further said, we have authoritatively begun a proper survey around the episode and will investigate further activity and results as per their ordinance's principles of direct and California regulation. On the other side, Jim is being savage via virtual entertainment, or recommending that Smith ought to have been captured for attacking Chris Rock at the Oscars, and he's likewise being known as a poser. Want to realize the reason why? Well, there has been a progression of tweets showing a video of Carrey from June 1997. While he was tolerating an honor at the MTV Film Grants, in the video, Jim Carrey steps in front of an audience subsequent to winning his honor for the Link Fellow and gives Alicia Silverstone a lip kiss that was clearly non-consensual. At the time, Carrey was well over 35 while Silverstone was only 20. So truly for him to offer remarks with respect to the episode, including Will Smith. Carrey has been legitimately named a wolf in sheep's clothing. The video has become viral and has been shared various times on Twitter. Carrey supposedly went behind the stage to apologize to Silverstone, who was embarrassed. No doubt the fraud smells. Somebody on Twitter said Jim Carrey says Will Smith ought to have been captured for hitting Chris Rock. What about when Jim Carrey effectively kissed Alicia Silverstone when he was going up in front of an audience to acknowledge that honor for the mass? That is not all. One more client tweeted, envision being Jim Carrey nauseated by a slap while likewise being a similar Jim Carrey who powerfully kissed Alicia Silverstone. Goodness, he's being cooked. Another client said something that is worth considering. They said it no affected his vocation at all, and another person affirms Silverstone's examined after the strong kiss. Expressed gander at her response after he did it. She looks so sickening now. Jim Carrey isn't the one in particular who's been blamed for kissing grant moderators without clear assent. Edwin Brody stunned Halle Berry when he kissed her following his 2003 Best Entertainer grant for The Piano Player in 2012. She confessed to Andy Cohen that she was at first stunned and nauseated. Back to Carrey. In a resulting interview with the related press, he explained his explanations while thinking about that. Pinkett Smith has been straight to the point about her battles with alopecia. I see it as a bigger issue. It's an issue of limits being broken, limits and recompenses and leniency to specific ways of behaving. The truth of the matter is that permit is being given to individuals who act viciously when they could do without what they hear, and it just ought not be. He later proceeded to say he comprehended that Smith could have been compelled into acting the manner in which he did. His definite words were, I likewise feel that individuals similar to Will or myself, we live in a ton of strain, we set up a ton of tension for us, and we're urged by this country to never stop. Furthermore, never be fulfilled and never take a gander at our lives and going. Continuing on, he then said, you understand what? I'm sufficient, I have enough, I've done what's necessary, I don't require 9 organizations I needn't bother with to be a filmmaker, chief essayist, entertainer, star, and have a record organization and be on TikTok and be via virtual entertainment and have an unscripted TV drama and offer my deepest life on some treatment show. It's past our transmission capacity and we're beginning to see the side effects of what it resembles to be living past your transfer speed and breaking under tension. Also, he said that is what that was all there was to it, was something